Better subscribe, bitches.
Till suck until rain, till suck until rain, through the dust and setting sun. There were many good souls on that lonely fob, but none like the...
Greetings. This is the Objective Jerk, and I am said jerk. I have a hard time waiting to post videos. Like, I like to just get them done and post them. So I don't know if I'm gonna do that. So hopefully some of these are long enough to be a podcast. I don't know. If you listen to these as a podcast, let me know how it's working, because it's like I'm like video focused more so now because I'm watching things, but usually they're talking. So if you're listening to it, you can kind of know what's going on, I guess. But I don't know. Let me know how it goes or how it is going. But anyway, so back to MAGAmark.
He's the best.
And I'll put a link in the description for this guy as well. I think it's AI. I mean, not completely AI, but it's an AI voice. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. I haven't watched too many of his videos, but so far they've been on point. You know, I've even a few things I wasn't sure about, I looked up to make sure, you know, and the guy's, you know, he's not making up shit. It's all true, and it's an opinion, but it's a good opinion, and I agree with it. I have not watched this. It is called The Obama Presidency and the Damage It Left Behind. And his thumbnail was Divider in Chief, which...
Yes! Hell yeah! Hey, come on, baby! Come on! Yes! Come on! Ah! Yes!
For real, I've said, just on my last video I made, that racism and everything seemed to be going great.
Huh?
I mean, racism seemed to be going great. It was going great because it didn't seem like there was no racism. Like, it was, you just didn't hear about it. It wasn't going on. Early 2000s, great. Nothing's, you know. And then Obama bin Laden comes in.
Oops.
And all of a sudden, shit just goes downhill. And I fell for it too, man. Like, I didn't really follow politics, and he was, you know, he was well groomed and he was fit. He was like the first, like, slender president that we had in I don't know how long. He was very eloquent, could speak very well. His speeches were great. And the media just sucked his cock like crazy. The liberal media, and you know, I didn't pay attention, and therefore I fell for it. And it wasn't until years later when I started learning all the shit he did, and I was like,
Ow, what the shit was that?
So let's see, this should be basically a entire sequence
Spit that shit out, man!
thing for, oh god, man, dude.
Dude, what does mine say? Sweet. What about mine? Dude, what does mine say?
You know why I can never be president? I can't even speak to my stupid computer. All right, but here we go. So obviously it's starting off with The View again. Gosh, The View. That's the only way I watch The View, is through other people's clips and shit. There's no way I'd watch it. Anyway, here we go.
In liberal America, there's a phrase that still gets repeated like it's fact. Obama was the best president of our lifetime.
Yeah.
But when you ask a simple follow-up,
Why?
the answers usually fall apart. Because when you strip away the speeches and the media glow, what's left is a record of failures. It's 8 years of broken promises and policies that fundamentally changed the direction of this country. This is the Obama presidency and the damage it left behind.
Obama.
January 20th, 2009, a new president stands on the steps of the Capitol. Barack Obama promises that the chaos of old is over, that the grown-ups are back in charge. At this moment, the country is still deep inside the Great Recession.
That's what kind of hurt. You had George Bush was an idiot. You know, they did well with that with SNL. I didn't really like the guy, but I wanted a Republican in office because, you know, they paid soldiers better.
Wow.
You know, but yeah, and then the recession, how they messed that up. It's, you know, so it's like, it's no wonder
You can't even walk and chew gum at the same time.
that Obama won, really, but I digress.
And the bottom hasn't even hit yet, which means this presidency won't be judged on nice speeches and charm, but it will be judged on its results. In that moment, Americans aren't just looking for policy, they were looking for hope, and Obama sold them that dream. Early on, the Obama agenda was framed as a moral reset, with healthcare becoming the centerpiece. The pitch was simple: keep what works, fix what doesn't, no one loses what they already have. Sounds pretty good, right?
If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your healthcare plan, you'll be able to keep your healthcare plan, period.
Oh, really?
Okay, this is when I started kind of realizing that Obama sucked. I guess it was from the beginning. Let's see. So he came into office 2009. When did Obamacare really go into effect? 2012, I want to say, or something. I was a government employee on healthcare, like Blue Cross, Blue Shield, from 2007, the end of 2007, up until I moved here, basically. I saw a huge difference in the way my healthcare was before Obama and during and after. Health insurance was cheaper, for one thing. And then this is before Obama. My appointments were quick. They weren't too far out. If I went to urgent care, it was seen reasonably fast. Once Obama hit, all of a sudden my premiums and everything goes up. Not crazy, but still it went up. And then my appointments further and further out. Urgent care, go to urgent care and wait for hours upon hours because you have everybody on, oh, I got Obamacare. I'm gonna go to urgent care because I got an upset tummy. So him like, oh, you can keep your, no, what they should have done is made clinics specifically for Obamacare. So the people who want free healthcare, they have to go to those clinics and leave us who pay for everything fuck it alone.
Exactly.
Of that line would be repeated a whopping 37 times between 2009 and 2013 by Obama and his administration. They were basically telling the country, no need to worry, this will not disrupt your life. And then it did.
Yep.
March 23rd, 2010.
Okay,
the
so
Affordable Care Act becomes law. The administration celebrates this as a historic reform, a generational victory. This right here is supposed to be Obama's victory lap. Instead, the website crashes. It was technical difficulty on the highest level possible. And according to a leaked memo, only 6 people successfully enrolled on day 1. Failures, errors, slow response times, the basic function, getting in and completing enrollment, breaks right in front of the entire country. This
Basically what they made, once it got going, that's what happened to healthcare in general.
This is where the damage is not only technical, it's psychological. Because the failure happens after the certainty, after the speeches, after the
period.
The promise that you can keep your plan doesn't just weaken here, it blows up. Later on, PolitiFact would officially label this as the lie of the year, pointing out how often it was repeated, even though it couldn't actually be kept the way it was sold. Obamacare to this day is a disaster that Democrats so desperately cling on to, a failed promise that crashed and burned upon arrival. Then came another state.
I don't know, this guy's editing. This got to be a dude. Maybe it's AI, his voice and everything, but it doesn't really seem, I don't know, maybe I'm stupid, but, well, I am stupid, but.
I totally agree with you.
On the Obama legacy. During Obama's green energy push, Obama made sure to help his friends along the way, but it blew up in his face. A company called Solyndra is given a federal loan guarantee of $535 million, and it's approved by September of 2009. Solyndra's business pitch of cylindrical solar panels that capture light 360 degrees promises to innovate its way out of the so-called climate crisis. But behind the scenes, the Office of Management and Budget staff had warned by March 2009 that this deal is not ready for prime time, meaning the financials were shaky and the risk was obvious. But the White House pressed ahead anyway.
Dude, I didn't even know about this.
Eager to score a talking point to further solidify the green agenda. George Kaiser, a major Solyndra investor and Obama funder, had visited
The green agenda, the
Today, Junior?
climate change, all the shit they're trying to do, it's all a fraud. Does climate change happen? Yes, it happens. It would happen whether we're here or not. You know, it's going to happen. Do we help it go faster, ruin it? Yes. People create garbage and burn stuff and chemicals and all kinds of crap. The thing is, though, so much of, like, where I live here in the Philippines, dude, they throw trash all over. They burn trash, plastic and stuff all the time in their yard. I hate it. It drives me nuts. They have a landfill. I'll burn leaves and paper and, you know, some wood stuff, but all my garbage goes to the landfill because I hate that shit. But the thing is like America, they try and do like, oh, we're going to do all this kind of stuff, but it's only in America that they're doing that shit. When you have India and China and the rest of the world just throwing shit in the ocean, not giving a crap. So the crap you're doing is not going to do nothing. It doesn't do anything unless you get the entire planet involved, which is not going to happen. So it's a scam. It is a scam.
visited the White House multiple times before this deal was made. The administration raced the loan through so fast, the Department of Energy announced the commitment before completing full legal and marketing reviews. And all of a sudden, the market took a turn. Chinese manufacturers did what they do best and flooded the world with a cheaper version of the same product, driving prices down by 40 to 50%.
Yep.
Solyndra's fancy cylinders just couldn't compete. By September of 2011, Solyndra lays off 1,100 workers, shuts down, and files for bankruptcy. Taxpayers now have...
Wow, and how much did they get from Obama? 535 million?
What the fuck?
to foot the bill of $500 million because Obama wanted clean energy. The Inspector General's report is devastating. It finds Solyndra provided inaccurate and misleading statements to secure the loan. It finds DOE's due diligence less than fully effective and calls the result a loss of confidence in the entire program. Obama and his team weren't just writing rules, they were also picking the winners. By the early 2010s, America was no longer judging the administration by outcomes alone. It was judging by its behavior. How was the power being used? Who gets protected? Who gets punished? And who gets ignored? And then across government, the same pattern kept appearing. First, the ATF and Justice Department. Operation Fast and Furious. A federal gun trafficking operation lets weapons walk right into criminal hand. Documents are withheld. Executive privilege is invoked. The message is that the Obama Justice Department answers to nobody.
I plead the fifth.
And what's the crap they throw at Trump and accuse Trump of doing? I'm not the first person to say it, but I've been saying it for a while. Everything libtards and Democrats accuse anybody of doing, they're doing. Or have done, like everything.
Then the IRS. The tax collector is caught using political keywords to target conservative groups for special scrutiny. The premise of neutral enforcement collapses. In response, there were investigations, apologies, but still, the damage was done. Then selective attention. February 2012, Trayvon Martin, a black teenager, is shot in Florida. Before the investigation even completes, before the facts are known, the president looks into the camera and says,
if I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon.
To supporters and the non-political savvy, it's empathy. The president is lending his voice to grieving parents. But to those smart enough to look past the virtue signal, it is the president prejudging a local criminal case, inserting federal race policies where none belonged, and stoking the narrative before due process runs its course. And in the end, George Zimmerman, the shooter, was acquitted. But the message is sent. When the politics demand it, this administration would pick sides, and the sides it picks gets the president's public sympathy, while the other side gets the IRS.
And see, that was kind of the start of it right there, huh?
I know.
Everybody just, and then they got mad that he got off, but it's like, well, it's all about color. It does nothing about facts.
Correctamundo. Obama.
Foreign policy is where reputations get tested the fastest. Enemies probe while allies sit back and watch. Weakness is measured in days. And soon the world starts pushing back. First, you had Libya. The Arab Spring reaches North Africa in February 2011. By March, his forces are closing in on Benghazi, threatening to massacre civilians. The UN Security Council intervenes, authorizing a no-fly zone and all necessary measures to protect civilians. And NATO launches Operation Unified Protector. By October, Gaddafi is dead. The Obama administration calls it a victory.
Stabbed up the butt. Dude, he got a knife shoved up his ass.
Then reality sets in. Libya collapses into chaos. Militias carve up the country. The security vacuum spreads. The very intervention that was supposed to prevent a massacre.
And see, it's the same kind of scenario as Iran, really, with Trump, you know? But it was okay when Obama does it. It's just so annoying.
Kerr creates a failed state instead. Then comes the night that burns into American memory. September 11th, 2012. A U.S. diplomatic mission in Benghazi is overrun by terrorists. Ambassador J. Christopher Stevens and 3 others, Sean Smith, Tyrone Woods, and Glenn Doherty, are killed. The aftermath in Washington is endless. Here,
the movie is great. 13 Hours by Michael Bay. You know, and Michael Bay's kind of went downhill, to be honest, but that movie is great. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's really good.
Investigations, finger pointing. But the strategic lesson is sharper than the political blame.
Hillary.
Libya, the model intervention, has produced a security nightmare. And the men who died in Benghazi are victims of a post-war vacuum nobody ever planned to fill. And then the next test arrived, Syria. August 2012, the president draws a line at the White House.
A red line for us is we start saying, a whole bunch of chemical weapons moving around.
Chemical weapons, he warns,
Would change my calculus. That would change my equation.
the red line is set. The world is watching. And 1 year later, Assad crosses it. On August 21st, 2013.
See, Obama, he dude, I'll give it to him. He could talk, right? He seemed like he knew what he was talking about. He could pretend. Trump, he's not the, he's like me. He can't fucking get the words out.
Old sage, what a loser. What a loser she was. Somebody needs to tell her that her pussy stinks.
You know what I mean? He doesn't have the vocabulary that Obama had. Some people are better at speeches, but they suck at leadership. There were people I was in the Army with. So to move up to become an NCO, which is a non-commissioned officer, to be any kind of leadership, one of the things you had to do was go to the board, and they would quiz you, pressing area range for the 249, or what's the, all the different kind of stuff, and they ask you all these things. I suck at remembering significant things like that.
No shit!
Certain ranges, numbers, all that kind of shit. Like, I suck at that, but I'm a pretty decent leader. So, but you would have some people who were great at it, man. They go to the board, they look great, they answer everything. All right, you're going, and then, but they suck at, they suck. It's kind of the same thing. Obama's good at the board, but he can't lead for shit. Trump's, I'm not saying that I could, Trump's a way better leader than I could be. The analogy is there, and it's just like, Trump, he's a good leader. You can't deny that. He don't take no shit. He's doing what he thinks is right. Can he articulate it as good?
Hell no!
But I don't care about that, really. So you had a guy who could articulate but sucked as a president, and then you have a guy that fumbles around and makes good memes, but he fucking kicks ass. Which one do you want?
Wake up, idiot!
Sarin gas kills nearly 1,500 civilians in the Damascus suburbs. The missiles are ready. The Navy is in position. The world waits for America to intervene. But it doesn't happen. Instead, the president announces he will seek authorization from Congress, which basically means Obama didn't have the stones to make the call himself.
From the American people's
Fucking
representatives
Biden right there.
in Congress. So this morning I spoke with all 4 congressional leaders, and they've agreed to schedule a debate and then a vote as soon as Congress come back into session.
People were being gassed by the day, and Obama wanted congressional approval to even do something. Obama literally gave Putin an alley-oop. The weapons are eventually removed, but the message is sent. The red line bends. What looked like restraint to supporters looks like retreat to everyone with a brain. At this moment, the world learned that American threats are negotiable, and that deadlines can become dialogues. Then a big fat stupid.
See, and then fucking Biden was so much worse. He was the biggest pussy idiot. I mean, he wasn't even in charge. We all know it was Pelosi, probably. I don't know. It was just ridiculous.
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit?
January 2014. As ISIS is capturing territory in western Iraq, ISIS, he says, is just the JV team, the junior varsity, not a serious threat compared to Al-Qaeda. The assessment is casual, confident, but very wrong. 5 months later, the JV team storms Mosul, seizes billions in weapons, executes Americans on camera, and declares a caliphate stretching across Iraq and Syria. The president, who dismissed them as minor league terrorists, is now forced to explain how they took over major league cities. Then the consequences arrive at full volume. ISIS surges into the open vacuum. By 2014, the terrorist group has seized territory across Iraq and Syria, erasing the border, executing prisoners, and threatening Baghdad.
Tonight I want to speak to you about what the United States will do with our friends and allies to degrade and ultimately destroy the terrorist group known as ISIL.
American warplanes are already striking targets in Iraq. Troops are returning, not as combat battalions, but as advisors, then as special operators, then as a permanent presence nobody anticipated. With that, the circle closes.
Because Neleng, there is no beginning. There is no end. Because it's a circle.
Obama.
Eventually, every presidency lands back on real people. Not slogans, not press conferences, humans. And under this administration, 3 stories make the same point. The system is failing the people it claimed to serve. First, the veterans. At the VA hospital in Phoenix, Arizona, administrators keep 2 sets of...
Bro, that's another thing, though, too. Before, I hated going to the VA. I avoided it. Like, I had to go. I needed to go, but I wouldn't. Because it was shit. It sucked. It didn't start getting good until who was in office? Trump.
Somebody needs to tell her that her pussy stinks.
See, that's just my personal experiences.
1,700 veterans are waiting an average of 115 days for appointments.
Yeah.
Some wait over a year. And according to a whistleblower report, at least 40 die in the process. The Inspector General finds the secret waiting list in 2014. The Secretary of Veterans Affairs resigns. But the damage is done. Men who wore the uniform, who asked their government for medical care, were left to languish and die in bureaucratic silence. Finally, the invisible dead. Obama's drone war expands in secret, 10 times more strikes than under Bush. The administration insists the program is surgical with near certainty no civilians will die. Then the numbers come out. In 2016, the White House admits between 64 and 116 civilians had been killed in drone strikes outside of war zones.
Oops.
Monitors say the real number is 6 times higher, between 384 and 807.
Wow.
This is the moment irritation curdles into disgust. Because the costs are no longer theatrical, they are veterans dying on secret waiting lists, soldiers traded for terrorists, civilians obliterated by remote control. Their deaths counted only when leaked documents force the government to admit it. The system promises care, it delivers paperwork, betrayal, and silence.
Obama.
The deepest damage is the kind that becomes normal. Not legal, not moral, but normal. First, immigration. In June 2012, the administration creates DACA by executive memo, deportation relief for 800,000 young immigrants. Congress had already rejected the DREAM Act, and Obama enacted it anyway by decree. 2 years later, he tries to expand it to 4 million parents, DAPA. The court blocks him. The Supreme Court splits 4-4, leaving the injunction in place.
We gotta get our voters in.
Immigration policy by memo, not law.
Having dead people vote ain't working anymore. We gotta get our voters in.
And speaking of immigrants, I give props to Obama for deporting so many illegal immigrants. Well done, Obama. Finally, the Iran deal. July 2015. The JCPOA is reached not as a treaty, but as an executive agreement.
Almost
the Constitution specifically says that treaties need 2/3 of the Senate, but Obama says this is not a treaty. January 2016, the deal takes effect. That same day, a cargo plane lands in Tehran carrying $400 million in cash, pallets of foreign currency, delivered in the dark of night. The optics are terrible. Like, can you imagine President Trump doing something like that? The same day, Iran releases 4 American hostages. Obama insists this wasn't ransom, just a debt settlement. But everyone understands what really happened. Unmarked cash, hostages freed, more money wired later. America didn't just send a message to Iran, it sent one to the world. Kidnap Americans and eventually Washington will pay.
Yeah.
Thank the Lord, Trump withdraws from that terrible agreement in 2018. But the precedent survives. Major foreign policy by executive memo, backed by secret payments, reversible by the next election.
Even people who were big Obama supporters now know that he was garbage. Other than, he looked and sounded good when he talked. That was it. That was the only thing Obama had going for him. Obama bin Laden.
Idiot. Stupid idiot. With a dumb face.
Douche. All right. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate your time. I'll see you next time. God bless.
Until rain, through the dust and setting sun. There were many brave souls on that long